Hi, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another day of Scraptember combined with 30 days of sketches. And today's sketch has a diagonal design of the paper, and I really like it. I'm not sure who made the sketch, but it's a really cool one. So our prompt today was to have a long title, and I do in fact end up with a long title, a long and big title. So I started out by cutting my two pieces of paper in half diagonally. And this is not something that's like the easiest thing to do if you don't have a really long ruler, which I finally invested in an 18-inch ruler, which is just a few dollars. But if you don't have it, you either end up folding it in half and then cutting it, or trying to get your trimmer to cut it. So I just recommend having something like a long straight edge. So it works really well. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, and so I am just marking it on the back with my pencil as to where I want to cut it. And these papers are really, really old papers. They're from my mind's eye. They're from the Indie Chic or Indie Chic, probably Indie Chic collection. And if I had been really smart, I probably would have not cut one of them. I would have just cut the half of the black one and put it on top of the orange one, so that you don't have to worry about the seam being perfectly straight, because I am cutting it with scissors. Sometimes those things don't match up exactly, but in this case I actually did a pretty good job of cutting it, so I didn't have to hide any of it or anything. You can hide those mistakes by putting like washi over it or some other thing, but I didn't have to really do that. But that is something you kind of have to watch out for if you're not really good at cutting straight with scissors. You might want to leave one a little larger. And then I basically cut a little bit off of the right hand side of that black paper and the bottom of the floral paper, so that I would have a nice seam still that goes down to a corner, but it leaves a reveal of that black border all the way around the layout, which, if you watch me a lot, you know I like that. So then I decided to take my pen. It's just a black Muji pen. It's my favorite pen for journaling. And I am just putting a sketchy line, two sketchy lines down each side. And then I'm also going to do it across the diagonal as though I had stitched it with a sewing machine. And now I'm at a retreat here. I don't have my sewing machine with me, so this was the next best option. So then I'm going to go ahead and take my photos, which you see I have them with a white border there, but I'm going to mat them in black. I don't make you sit through watching that. It's going to pop up here in just a moment. And I just played around with which paper I wanted on which side. And I decided to put the paper with the floral on the side that I'm on, and then the more masculine chevron on the side that my husband's on. And I thought that worked well because I'm in a shirt that matches those florals, and he is in a black shirt that matches that black. And then I'm going, I went to back to the other half of that sheet of paper with the florals on it, and I fussy cut a bunch out. And those are going to just be a cluster kind of above my husband's head. And this, if you're wondering what the pictures are of, this is like the first time we went to like a real sit down, get waited on restaurant after COVID. And we had been to a couple others that were like little mom and pop shops, but this one was actually pretty busy. It was the Texas Roadhouse, and so it was a pretty busy restaurant, but they did have the acrylic between all the booths, and it felt pretty safe, even though there seemed to be a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people, it was like a lot of people for COVID times. Probably not as busy as they would be pre-COVID. But I wanted to document that we went there. We don't actually have a Texas Roadhouse in our area. It's a good 30 to 40 minute drive. And so we happened to be in an area that had one, and that's where we decided to eat. I am inking everything up in Black Soot Distress ink, and I like the way that that's looking. I did use a couple of dyes that I borrowed from MK, and they are leaf dyes, and I don't know where they came from. I know they're from a set of poppies that she has, but I don't know who the manufacturer is. So that's the little green and the gray and the cream color leaves that you see there. Those were cut with a die. um, that is one of the really nice things about retreats, is being able to borrow somebody else's goodies and try something different. And so that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then I am going to just go ahead and layer those up. I do add some foam to the back of the top florals just to give some added dimension and some added interest. And then I will start working on the bottom floral, which is going to go in the opposite corner. So I thought this was an interesting design, so that I did a little bit different than the sketch. So the sketch has the diagonal papers, but the florals follow that diagonal, and I just went with the opposite. So my florals are on the opposite sides from where the diagonal line is, and it works. It looks fine. I don't think there's any problem with it. While I work on that, I'll remind you to check out everyone else who is playing along with Scraptember and 30 Days of Sketches. The list is in my description box down below, so there's tons of people that you can be inspired by with all different kinds of layouts, and I hope that you get a chance to go and check them out and maybe leave them a little bit of love. So I went back to that sheet of paper and fussy cut out the large floral. Actually, this is on a separate sheet of paper, so it's the same collection, obviously, but it is got mostly that creamy background, that creamy yellow background, and then it's got some big florals on it. And so I cut that large floral out of there, mostly because it needed something that was different than the florals I cut out of the same paper, because those would get just kind of lost because you're just putting the same florals on top of the other ones, which is a whole other technique in and of itself. Like if you want to cut out a flower and put it right on top of the other flower that is identical and give it dimension, that's a different technique, but that's not what I was going for, and I wanted that large floral to pop out, so that's what I did. I just went ahead and cut it, the big one, inked it up again with the Black Soot Distress ink, and then I went ahead and put it coming out from under the photos. And I played around with putting the other half of it in the upper right hand corner, and it probably would have looked fine there on the side of the photos. I didn't like it up to the top of the floral because it kind of looked like that largest flower had eyelashes or something, but I don't end up using it, so it didn't get used. And then I'm going to tuck in the other leaves that I had cut out underneath that large floral, and I'm going to leave that space kind of open there because I am making my title. Now this collection also has pink in it, and they had this really bright pink paper, and so I went ahead and cut my title with dies out of that pink paper. So I used a stamp set to stamp the words dinner at, and you can see the word the up on the upper left hand corner there, but I don't end up using the, I was going to say dinner at the Texas Roadhouse, but I just end up using dinner at Texas Roadhouse, and that's mostly because my Texas Roadhouse was so large there wasn't really room for the word the. And I used my dies. I have a set of dies from, actually these are not my dies, I'm lying to you. These dies are from MK. I borrowed those as well, and they are a set that Close to My Heart used to have, and they no longer make them. I don't even know the name of them, but I was like, hey, where did you get these? Because I might need some. And she's like, they don't have them anymore. So I was like, oh man, what a bummer. But I did find some that are really tall and somewhat similar to that, and they're made by Paper Rose. And so I just got those after I returned from this retreat, and they were waiting for me the following weekend when I met up with some friends. I actually ordered them, a couple of friends and I went in on an order so we could avoid paying full shipping, and they were waiting for me when I saw my friend the next weekend. So those will be used before too long. Okay, so I ended up cutting out, oh, you saw the the little file folder thing at the top there. That's where my journaling is going to go. That was a cut apart sheet. It's actually a perforated sheet from Authentique, I believe, and it's in that same color tones. And so because I had already cut down or glued down all of those flowers, I had to cut that piece to make it tuck behind the flowers. I couldn't really lift the flowers off because they were tucked down or adhered down with liquid glue, and so there was no way for me to really pull those up. And then I just finished it off with some Gina Marie Designs enamel dots in matte black, and I really like the way that it came out. I did run my black ink dauber over where it says Texas Roadhouse. I also did do some splatter on top of the Texas Roadhouse, and that's where that added color comes from, just to give it some more dimension and make it look a little bit more distressed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.